created this course called Soul Beliefs, Causes and Consequences. This signature course is not about the soul per se. Other signature courses like climate change, immigration, extinction, they deal with material things. You can measure climate change. You can count the number of immigrants in this or that part of the city. You can't do that with the soul. The soul, first of all, it's incredibly difficult to define. You can't narrow it down, you can't weigh it, you can't see it come in, can't see it go out. But it is a belief. Now that's interesting because most people around the world, I mean there's lots of polls that indicate this, believe that people have souls, including themselves. Most people who believe they're in soul believe that at their death the soul will become unbuckled and go somewhere. We're not looking at, well, what exactly is it that comes unbuckled? What exactly is it? Where does it go? We're interested in beliefs. And so since most people believe that the soul exists, we can measure their beliefs, the strength of the commitment to the belief, and then we begin to investigate what caused us to believe whatever we believe, and what are the consequences of those beliefs.
Students were talking about their beliefs in many cases for the very first time. So here's a belief system that was nurtured from their early childhood, and they go through and they, in many ways, guide their life around this belief system, but have never looked at it or talked about it. And now they go home and talk to their parents, they go back to the dorm and talk to their fellow students about it. And just that whole conversation, I think, was something that permeated the course.
This is how we open up the topic. Rather than having people volunteer what they believe about the soul. So how many Catholics? I invited a dozen or so, a couple on stage. Didn't ask them what they believe, but what were you told to believe? What have you been told to believe about the soul? And they were great. I mean, they just said, well, this is what I told. And somebody else said, well, I wasn't told that. I was told this. And then some other people would come up on the stage. Protestants, a few Mormons showed up. Muslims, come on. And Muslims were turned. And then Jews turned. Of course, there's lots of variations and intricacies. And they began to realize that most of them were taught to believe the same thing.
I think that was just an amazing class, which Dan just decided to do that. It was nothing that we had done before or anything, but there was not a hint of any intolerance, and quite the contrary. The students really saw the common theme in what they had been told to believe, and I think it really did just set the stage for an openness, both in terms of what we were talking about in the lectures and what they were going to be talking about in their recitation sections. It was one of the, my favorite parts of the course, I think.
The signature course is about soul beliefs, but it can move in the direction of why do we believe in anything? And there are several big ideas, several big assumptions in the past. That once you have a big idea, once you have a rock solid assumption, it's resistant to change. So once you have a belief, you stop thinking. Once it's set, the body says, okay, that sounds right. I'm comfortable down here. You don't want to challenge it. You don't want to re-raise the assumptions associated with that belief because it's upsetting. And you'd rather do anything to sort of maintain that belief. So one thing I would like them to get out of it is when they have interactions with people or when they notice themselves that this is what I believe, they now want to check to see, does that mean I want to stop thinking about it? And I hope they do that.
What we would like more than anything is to have the students look back on this course and view this course as the gateway, something that opened the door for them to begin to enjoy the complexities of big questions and not to be afraid to deal with them.